Oh, hi, and welcome. Welcome back for a new, fresh daily dose of ASMR triggers. ASMR triggers. Well, the topic for today might be controversial, sensitive for some. Well, but I assure you that it is only poor informational. We're gonna talk about political polarization in United States, which has been identified as being intensified over recent years. Well, a couple of days ago, I started to look up on the web and to find some reasons why political changes or politics in general spread so much hate in the United States. And I consulted and extracted, so I consulted a lot of websites and extracted some information, and I synthesized something which is quite interesting and I want to share with you. These are some key facts related to maybe why politics is spreading hate in the United States. Well, first we're gonna start with some contributing factors. Let's think. I think that the first place in the contributing factors is the media influence, because media and social platforms have created an echo chambers, reinforcing existing beliefs and, very important, amplifying negative perceptions of the opposing side. This is, I think, important highlight because media is amplifying negative perceptions. Well, this is what I deducted, of course, so this is my personal opinion, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Next, economic disparities in every state. We have economic disparities because the growing income inequality has been a reason or a source of tensions, with different political factions, of course, blame the opposing policies and ideologies. So, after media influence, second, economic disparities. Next is, I think I should mention cultural identity. Debates over social issues such as immigration, for example, LGBT rights and racial justice have deepened and divided societies. And these involve most often deeply political messages. Well, I think I identified these three major contributing factors: media influence, economic disparities, and cultural identities. But beside these three, I extracted what I consider to be some key facts about politics and why politics spread hate and dissension in the United States. So let's start with social media, which is a major factor, key factor, social media amplifications. In 2023, Pew Research study found that 64% of Americans believe social media has mostly negative impact on political discourse, with a lot of misinformation being the major issues, misinformation and disinformation. And the reason is that hate speech and political extremism tend to spread faster on platforms of social media. Yes, and this is due to their social platform algorithms, amplifications, and setup. So, one of the major key factors for political hate in US is social media. Second one, which I identified and I put in the list, decline in trust of institution. So, trust. The real trust in institution has declined. Well, according to 2024 Gallup poll, trust in major institution has declined historically low. Only 27% of Americans trust in America's institutions. Confidence in Congress dropped to 8%, lowest ever recorded. Even trust in Supreme Court has fallen to 40% compared to the 60% in the early 2000s. So here we can detect a major problem because the Americans don't trust anymore the institutions. Good. This was the first session, social media amplification, 2, decline in trust in institution, and 3, political side. I'm not sure how to name it. Maybe I'm too rough, but I can name it political tribalism and identity politics. Now, many Americans now see political affiliations as part of their identity, leading to emotional investments in policies and elections. Well, some studies show that negative partisanships is all-time high. Political partisanships means when voting against a party you dislike rather than supporting your own. This is political partisanship. Alright, on the 4th place we have misinformation. Wow, yes, misinformation. We live in an age of fake news, misinformations or disinformations, and fear-based campaigning. Political campaigns increasingly use fear tactics and misinformations, and this is because these campaigns aim to mobilize voters, painting the other side as the negative ones, of course, rather than engaging in a political fair discussion. So every party blames the other to be the negative one, the bad ones. Well, that's all over the world. In 2023, a study by Princeton University found that fear-based messaging increase voter turnout but deepens the polarizations. So, alright, so misinformation and fear-based campaigns. Very important highlight. Why politics is hated or spread so much hate. Fifth one, decline in cross-party friendships. Wow. Compared to the 1950s, when political differences were not a deal breaker for relationships, well, the sides between Democrats and Republicans say that will be upset if a close family member married someone from the opposite political party. Yeah. Yes, that's true. That's true. Alright. Next. Rise of political violence. And here we can insert extremism. We can associate political violence with extremism. Yes. And here is a fact from FBI that they reported 34% rise in political threats against elected officials. Right, so this percent, 34%, has rise in only 4 years, from 2020 to 2024. So 34% rise in political threats against elected officials. Well, yes, you know, the Capitol riot, yes, was a major example of how political divisions can lead to violence and extremism can lead to violence. 7. News polarizations, and of course we can add here the misinformation again. What I found is that a Harvard study found that viewers of partisan media develop more extreme views than who consume balanced news source. So those who are watching partisan media, well, televisions, I cannot name them, develop more extreme views than those who consume normal or balanced sources. Misinformation spread 6 times faster than factual news, according to an MIT research. So take this in account every time when you see a shocking news that misinformation spreads 6 times faster than the factual news. This is based on MIT research, so it's something very serious. 8. Economic inequality. Economic hardship fuels political resentment, with each side blaming other for job losses, rising costs, taxes, and the declining living standards. Wow, I encountered this even in some European politics. Wow. Next is lack of bipartisan leadership. partisanship, moderate politicians are declining in numbers. Well, in 2024, analysis found that only 9% of the Congress members are considered moderates compared to the 40% in the 1980s. So, this has led to fewer bipartisan policies, then more political stalemates. Decline in civic engagement, this is the 10th one. Americans are less involved in community organizations, churches and civic groups, which historically helped or put a bridge to political divides. In 2024, a study from that trust in fellow Americans has declined, with 58% believing that most people cannot be trusted. So, trust in fellow Americans has declined with 58% who are believing that most people cannot be trusted. And one of the most important is that the American two-party system limits political choices. This is very true, because the winner takes all, of course, electoral system forces voters into binary choice, either Republicans or Democrats, making politics to feel like a battlefield. That is what the fastest term that I found. In 2023, Pew Research found that 63% of Americans feel neither party represents them well, but they still feel forced to choose between lesser of two evils. Wow, that's a quote from the research. The two-system party discourage discussions and push people toward extreme loyalty for one side or another, and blaming and hating the others. Alright. And the last one, 12. Culture wars. Very important highlight. Issues like abortion, gun rights, LGBTQ plus policies, racial justice have become deeply moral, identity-driven rather than policies. A few years ago, in 2022, a study found that 72% of Americans feel the other party as a threat in their way of life. When political disagreements feel like attacks on personal values, compromises becomes impossible and hostility increases. Alright, man, hard to extract a conclusion, but I think all this combination key factors, major influences, misinformations, divides, political tribalism, and lack of multi-party system creates an environment where hatred and division thrive in US politics. The cycle of negative partnership distrust and fear-based narratives continues to deepen the divide between Americans. Well, this was my conclusion. I don't know if this sort of session fits directly in ASMR, but I tried. And because now we are at the end, just feel free to express your opinion. Doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat, or you sympathize with one of the two parties. Feel free to express your opinion. And of course, now because we are at the end, I can only wish you that may God bless America. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I wish you all the best. Bye bye.